Hi there, my name is Jamie Devine. Welcome to I Am Divinity.
Here at I Am Divinity, what we do is we help you unlock your inner power.
So that's what we're doing.
When I come here to the course, you have good breakdown my memory from my childhood.
That's the power. Imagine how healthy our community will be. Like, they're so pure and so powerful.
Whispers of the morning stars, love expanded, infinite, come to earth, a hero's journey, finding what has always been, finding what has always been. Finding what has
Greetings, divine beings. Super awesome to be here with you guys. It's day 59. Michael Harder, thanks. I love my background too. I have many rainbows and what was that? Sorry, I didn't see that. It's awesome to be here with you guys. Super awesome start to the day for us over here in the Philippines. It's March 7th. I know a lot of you guys are in the States. It's nighttime over there. It's evening. So thank you for being here with us on these daily live streams. Got some new people in the house today. Got some returning members of IAMDIVINITY. Can we enlarge that, please, Will? I want to see who's on. Okay. Welcome, Arcadia, Etienne, Gilbert, LK, Michael, Moses, Nada, Nicholas, Paul, Tiffany, Valerie, Vasen. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Woo! Hola, ¿cómo estás? Wow. Awesome. It's great to have you all. We're streaming here on Zoom. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, X. So if you're on any of the platforms, I'd love to have you just comment below what city or state, country you're calling in from. Man, it's been an awesome start to the day. El Paso, Texas, Greece, Colorado Springs, Florida, South Texas, Ontario. Awesome. It's great to have you all. We're a worldwide community. It's so awesome. Yes. And if you could, IAMDIVINITY support, just put it in the chat. If you could, go ahead and subscribe to our main YouTube channel. We're going to be posting all of these replays, and all the content that we create is going to be going onto that channel. So if you ever need, you're able to access it there, which it will be very, very important in the very, very near future. I'm talking about the next 2 days, where you can actually share these videos with some of your colleagues, your friends, family. LK, Seattle. Welcome. We have some people coming in. So today's day 59 of our daily live stream. We've literally done a live stream every single day for the last 59 days. It's pretty wild. Today will be 2 months. And here in the Philippines, they don't do anniversaries. They do month of what is it called? Monthsaries. So tomorrow will be your 2-month monthsary. They're so cute here. They're like, they celebrate their love every month. It's very interesting. Jamie was just telling me he's like so detached from the time element. So he told his fiance, he's like, we're not gonna do the monthsary. I'm just gonna do the daysary. He's like every day. Which I mean, that's how we should, right? Like every day is another day to just be fully in love, not just with external things but just with our own divinity, right? And that's what we're really trying to have you guys embody, is just living here now in your divinity. Is the word divinity spelling correct? Divinity? I think it is. I remember winning the spelling bee in the 3rd grade, so oh, here comes Mr. Jamie.
You guys look familiar? What he did?
Did you go?
Yeah.
Unity because
This one's broken.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, do you want to say this one?
Yeah, the mic.
Ah.
Better.
So yes, today's I was telling him that tomorrow's gonna be our 2-month
Water.
monthsary for our daily live streams.
Our monstery, yes.
2 monthsary.
You told them they do that in the Philippines, the monsteries?
Yeah, and then I was like, hey, like Jamie's like so detached from the time element that he decided to do the daysary.
Yeah, it's a lot easier than remembering the
The
month.
month.
I slipped on that a couple times, so but you know what? I'll go daysary so that I just do it every day, make it a daily thing. Well, hello everyone. What we got here?
So we got some new people, we got some former people. So today's topic is the root of all phobias, which I know is obviously such a repeated topic, but I'm sure someone on here is gonna wanna
Yes.
hear this. or
Yeah,
me too.
the old Marianne Williamson quote. It's not our, what is it? Gilbert?
Gilberto.
Gilbert,
I
what's
I
the
can
Marianne Williamson quote?
Okay, all right, I got you. I got you. Our deepest fears is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fears is that we're powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our dark, that most finds us. You playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in every single one of us. And as we allow our own light to shine, we unconsciously allow others to do the same. And once we're liberated from our own fears, our presence will automatically liberate others. There you go. Jabam. Woo!
Ba-boom. Woo! Way to go, Gilbert. Great to hear you, bud.
Likewise, brother.
You look 5 shades darker, bro.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some sun. I was due, man. After the first, what did we do? 45 days at the midnight show?
Oh yeah. Just like barely waking up once the sun is going down. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were living like owls for a little
yeah,
while.
it feels way better doing it in the morning. So we appreciate you guys being flexible and still being on here. So yeah, do you have any I'm sure you have lots of downloads to share with everyone.
Yeah, it's always something different. Divinity vampires. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't in alignment, that's for sure. That one for too long. So well, I was on quite the adventure the last week. We went to 5 different resorts in 7 days, 4 different cities and 3 different islands, like independent islands. So the rest that I had intended ended up being quite an active adventure, which seemed to have energized me even more than if I was just resting on a beach somewhere. So it was nice. One of the things that happened that was really cool is one of the islands we were on had a amazing coral reef. And at first we snorkeled, and then there was a dive master that just had showed up like the day that we showed up, the perfect timing. And he was like, "Yeah, you guys want to go diving?" We're like, "Yeah, of course." Have you ever been? And Nina had never been. It was her first time. And I only went one time in Florida Keys about 10 years ago. And I had no instruction, no training, no nothing. It was a friend that was living on his yacht. I spent a week on the yacht with him, and he had extra gear. So one day he just said, "Hey, you want to go diving?" I said, "Yeah." So we throw on the tank. He shows me how to use the whatever it's called, debilitator or something,
Yeah, I
the
think so.
breathing thing, and and we go diving. And so and then my mask was acting up down underwater, and so he signaled me to like switch masks, and so we did that, and everything was fine, kept diving. And we got back up and he was like, "Dude, you realize like you just passed the final exam of the certified diving, whatever." And I was like, "No, I had no idea. Like I just needed my mask fixed." And anyway, so this master diver invites us to go. We're like, "Yeah, absolutely." So Nino only needed like 5 minutes of training, and then she's on her own, and we do this 2-hour dive around this reef around the island. And at the end, the dive master's like, "We've never had anyone on their first time that didn't need us to hold their tank the entire journey." And Nina was on her own, I was on my own, like the entire time. So he was a PADI, PADI dive master, so that's like world renowned for the diving community. The PADI, it's the international, the big certification. So he ends up saying, "You guys did so well that like I would feel comfortable with giving you guys your open." Yeah. Yeah, your diving license. It's like it's a lifetime license, and instead of doing the week of training that you normally need to do, I could just hook you guys up because you did so well. And we're like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna say no to that." Like, so both Nina and I, on our very first dive with an instructor, got our lifetime open water diving license. So that was pretty cool. And just a testament to, living in your light and in divinity. It was all so natural. There was no fear.
And how long does it usually take for someone to get their license, like that kind of license?
That one, I was trying to look it up, and it was about a 7-day thing. So 7 days of, like
Jeez.
every day training, however many hours per day.
That's insane. It's like whenever you're living in your divinity, you just hack the matrix. It's like the rules no longer apply.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when we were in the gym, and I told Will, because he was still like, "Yeah, I did my divine." I asked him, like, "Did you do your divine focus?" He's like, "Yeah, I did my divine focus, but I didn't have time to do an hour." I said, "Oh, well, that's interesting. Like, why didn't you have time to do an hour?" "Oh, I just got so much work to do." And I said, "Well, imagine that the work you're doing after an hour of divine focus is like 10 times more powerful. So just imagine green lights, just constant green lights. Whereas if you're operating and working from the ego program, it's just constant red light, constant red light. So it's going to be, at the very least, a lot slower."
Bro, I mean, just that happened to me this rising. Like, literally was working one of my other businesses, and like the deal was not working. The deal was not going through, and I didn't do my divine focus because like right as I get up, I like was like, "Oh shit, I have to get to this."
Mhm.
And then I'm like, "Okay, let me just get into my divine focus." Literally, as soon as I finish my divine focus, the deal's like, "Oh yeah, set, it's done." Like what?
Exactly. Well, it's all energetic, right? I love Neville Goddard's quote. If you pull that up, Will, you know that one? Yeah.
Can you get my water, please?
That man's chief delusion is that there's causes outside of our own state of consciousness. So literally, like that is the cause of all causes. And then, of course, what you were talking about, the phobia of all, or what did you say it was? The
Like
topic
the
today?
root of all
The
phobias.
root of all phobias. So it's also the root of the low consciousness, which is just being terrified of our light. And how many people have we come across that it's one of two ways. It's like they're either, holy shit, this is possible. Like, how do I get what you guys have? Or get the fuck away from me with that voodoo shit.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no in between, and it's just like this intense. Or the people that decided to go through the process, and then we don't hear from them because they're so terrified of that state. I mean, we don't have to go much further than the Joshua Gabby
Yeah.
that was in the walker for 4 years and then was able to sprint and then went back to the walker for the last 2 years because he's so terrified of how much power he experienced in that after the process. So, hey, I see Mr. Nicholas on the call.
Oh.
Awesome to see you, bud. I did see your messages. There's been so much going on since I've been back, but let's connect. We got some time here. Yeah, that's it. Man's chief delusion. Man's chief delusion. So if that, like, let's just trust that those words are true, that the biggest illusion that we have in our life is that there's causes outside of our own state of consciousness, then wouldn't it make sense that the number one priority would be raising our consciousness to the highest level possible?
It makes total sense.
Want everything to run smoothly, like you were just saying with the deal opening up. There's so many examples of that.
But the thing is like, because we're in the 3D realm and it is, people cannot see this invisible force. They're like, oh no, it's not because of me. It's because of this. It's because of this and because of that. And that's why it's not working. And all of these different excuses. But at the end of the day, the source of it all is our internal world and our internal consciousness.
Well, the victim mentality can be very addicting. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to take any fucking responsibility. And this program is a complete opposite. Like there's no way you could be a victim because when you experience how much power you have, it's like now I have to take full responsibility for everything, like literally even the weather. You know? Like, fuck. Like, you just can't get away with blaming anything. So that's one of the things you definitely have to let go of is the blame game.
Have you
Yeah,
guys
the ego doesn't like that.
have you guys had
What's that,
anybody like
Gilbert?
have you guys ever had anybody have like just like anxiety or panic attacks around you? Because I've had many friends I've bumped into where their legs start shaking like crazy. I'm around, and I had another friend too that like literally said, "I feel like I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing." Like I was just like, "What the heck?" Like what? Like that's kind of interesting how just our voice, just our voice and our presence makes people very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it can. You know, the one I've heard pop up a lot is like, I feel like you're judging me, you know, or I've had people like go into a full-on stutter, you know, just like because they're so nervous around the energy. But they don't usually last, like they don't hang around for us to, you know, like gauge all of the signs of what's going on. It's usually like they get the fuck out of there pretty quick. Like, they find a reason, you know, to run.
Well, yeah, it's like your light shines onto their, you know, the shadow. So it just becomes more illuminated. And I remember even whenever I was in and out of my divinity and I was around Dawn or like Jamie, it was uncomfortable because they're like, even if they're not saying anything, like, I mean, they know. You know, when you're at this level of consciousness, like you see everything so clearly, and you feel that, right? Energetically, as humans, we are tapped into this vibration, whether we're conscious of it or not. So,
And if you're attempting to live in your illusion, the last thing that you want is someone that's in truth around you.
yeah,
That's the last thing. If you're trying to hold on to something, the last thing you want is someone that can see right through it. Like you're trying so hard to put on this mask and live this total illusion and this acting presence. Like the last thing you want is someone that knows that you're acting and faking it. Like
yeah, no.
I don't want that around.
And the
And
only
that
people that fall for it are people that are like at a lower level of consciousness, you know. And so you cannot be
funny,
around the light whenever you're living in those shadows. It's gonna come to the surface.
that's
And we
that's
got to catch
interesting.
ourselves all the time where it's like it's not coming from a place of judgment. It's, you know, because we were all in those states and even worse. Like I talk about how I was in the lowest levels for a long time and all the symptoms of that. But it's It's like you can't get away with it anymore, even for ourselves. Like we catch ourselves all the time. It's like whether it's Sam coming to me saying that he hurt his foot, and like he can't go to the gym. Oh yeah, okay. Was it the left one or the right one? It's like fuck, I can't get away with this. Or the tonsillitis, right?
Yeah, all of it.
You're like, oh, I got tonsillitis this morning. I said, oh, why'd you create that? It's like
He's not like, oh, poor you. Like, he's like, no, why'd he create it? Like, fuck, okay, you're right.
And it was just natural. It's not like I was like, judging you or anything. It's just something. It just comes out. It's like, okay, well, why did you do that? Like, it's not looking down on anyone, nothing like that. It's not coming from an arrogant place. It's just this is the truth. This is the fact. I mean, what you take it or leave it.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting because I was talking to one of my friends yesterday. She was talking about how she does microdosing mushrooms and stuff. And and I'm like, you can have that state and more like without it, right? And it's like, yeah, I know, blah, blah, but I'm in the best place ever. And I'm like, hey, like I get it. I mean, I've done that. I've microdosed mushrooms and acid and all that, and blah, 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 all that stuff. It's like, but you don't really need anything outside of you. And she's like, I don't know why you always, every time I post something, you always oppose me. I'm like, first of all, I don't remember the last time I talked to you. Second off, like, I'm not judging you. I'm just sharing something with you that could be beneficial. And, it's not, it doesn't come from a place of judgment. Actually, the judgment doesn't live in these realms.
No, it comes from a place of truth and integrity. But the thing is, we got to realize 85% of the population's under 200, which is the level that truth and integrity start at. So if you're under the level of 200, which I was before, you can't even recognize truth. You can't even experience miracles. Like it doesn't exist in that realm. So, yeah, that mentality is for sure addicting.
Yeah. I mean, it's just authenticity. That's what it is. It's just being fully authentic. And regardless of who stays, who leaves, just shining your light no matter what. And some people, like, for example, like I remember Gilbert, whenever we were first streaming. I mean, Gilbert, you can speak for yourself, but there was a time where you got a little bit triggered from what I was saying, right?
100%. True.
Let's get a 111 in the chat if you've been triggered by anything that we've ever said. I'm curious. I know in the beginning days that I was hanging out with Don, I mean, you can't be around him without getting triggered, in that process. Can you scroll up the comments there? Gilbert, I love that stick person animation that you shared, or is talking like the environment and basically giving the guy permission to be in his light. Do you know which one I'm talking about? It was like the black shade and then the light guy. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think it was on Facebook, right?
It was him walking through different types of energies and picking up all the energies, and on the way, he was literally giving away all his light. So by the end, he was pretty much pure darkness. And then at the very end, it was like a whole point of me telling you guys, like, you guys were like that last one that came in with a bright beam of light again to share your light with the rest of us. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it. I'm pretty good at try to like painting pictures for people. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah. He tagged you on the post and you commented, so you did see it.
We'll try to find it so you guys can see it.
You
Yeah,
Will.
Show than tell.
Just kidding, dude.
What did you say? I didn't hear that.
I was like, but you didn't respond, Will. That's okay. Nothing forced here. Nothing forced here. All right.
So Michael, Tiffany, Paul, Valerie all said that they've definitely been triggered by something. Yeah, it's totally natural when you're in that process.
Well, I remember before I fully surrendered, Jamie said something to me and I got so triggered. I didn't talk to him for like, an hour or so.
At least
An hour. And then I was like, okay, well, obviously this is something to do with me, because if, like he said this a couple of times, like if you have a wound and you put salt on it, whether it's a pinch, whether it's a whole bucket full of salt, if it starts to hurt, then it's because you have a wound. Because if you just put salt on a hand that did not have a wound, you wouldn't feel anything. And so I was like, okay, well, obviously has something to do with me. But at the beginning, I was like, dude, fuck you, Jamie. Like, literally. And then I was like, sat in my divine focus for over an hour. And then, yeah, I just realized the truth of what it was. And then I went upstairs and I gave him a big hug and it was over. And yeah, it's just as everything to do with the consciousness level. And I think that's a good transition to talk about, like, obviously we all have had certain traumas, whether it's like a crazy abusive like childhood or even just falling off of a bike. Like these traumas, they shock your nervous system and they keep you stuck and anchored in these lower levels of consciousness. And so here at I Am Divinity, what we do, and our mission is really to help you create freedom within, so that way you have all of the things outside of you. Because all of the things that you're looking for, whether it's money, relationships, the business, whatever it is, health, all of those things are dictated from your inner world. Just like, the Neville Goddard quote, right? It's all based off of the consciousness level. And so we help you have that freedom within. Well, we don't help you do anything. We give you the platform so you can access it yourself and so you can be empowered to tap in. And so maybe you've been looking in different religions, philosophy, personal development. Maybe you're like this guy and you've gone through like literally like every spiritual program or whatever, to say the least. And so if you have been looking and you've been searching for an answer, I want you to know that your search is over.
Oh, that's the
cue.
That's the
Let's
cue.
do the cue, bro. Come on. Come on, we gotta be like Joe Rogan. We gotta be like Joe Rogan, where Jamie's just ready.
We're gonna have to go
This is
for day
nice, guys.
60. Day 60.
Okay, well, just give Will a second, but basically, I'm gonna redo this. Actually, I don't know how to redo anything. It's just like, all right, it's in the moment or it's not. But yeah, I personally have read thousands of books. I've done spiritual retreats and seminars, breath work, and shit. No amount of what is it called? Hyperventilating.
What did I say to you when you told me you're certified breath? I was like, the world's messed up when you got to be trained on how to breathe.
Savage.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I don't pre-plan to say these things. They sound like attacks, but
No, they're funny though.
they're just
It's the
light
truth.
bombs in the moment.
All right, are we ready with the video? Okay, so yeah, if you've been looking, your search is over.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Wasn't that enlightening?
Oh man.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Don Smith. That's Don with 2 N's. And I'm here to share with you what I've developed over 44 years that I call I Am Divinity. I say that I Am Divinity because I'm divine and so are you. No matter what you've done and what you haven't done, you are divine, you always were and you always will be. And it gets all covered up. And so all of those trips to the personal developments and all of those things, and they don't hold. And did you ever question yourself? Instead of just going back and getting the next one and the next one and the next one and none of them hold? Well, there's a reason for that. A very big reason is because you're working at a belief level of who you think you are. That's what beliefs are, both negative and positive. They're who we think we are. So going from a negative belief to a positive belief is not the answer whatsoever. It's about the knowing of who we truly are. There's knowing. It isn't a belief. And so all of these ideas of doing this and all of those trips to the wherevers. It's like dealing with a piece of something. But this is not a piece of anything. This is the total knowing of who you are. And what I've developed over this 44 years is a process that's instant and it's permanent. Now, the permanent comes in by you doing something for holding it. But I'm telling you, there's people have this for years, and it's instant. And how do I say that with such boldness? Well, put it in the category of a phobia. 90% of the population has a phobia of something. Bugs, snakes, rats, heights, water, whatever. And my question to you is, how long did it take for you to create that phobia? Yes, you're right. 1 instant. And yet everybody questions me about that. And yet that's all it took. 1 instant. So now what I did was I reverse engineered near-death experiences and phobias to find out how they worked, and I reverse engineered it. So if you can create a phobia in a second, and most times it's before the age of reason, which is 4, 5, 6. Think about that. At that young of an age, that in 1 second, you created a lifetime phobia. Well, it's a lifetime phobia because you're holding on to it for protection. That's how the ego works. It's going to get you to hold on to something that's harmful for you so it can keep you aware in case it happens again. That's how toxic your ego is. And it's not your ego, it's the ego. Sorry, my mistake. Because you are much more than an ego. And so what it's about is if you create it in a second, why would it take any longer than a second to reverse it if you knew how you did it? That's what I do. That's one of the pieces. And then the other is the permanentness of it all. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. What color are your eyes? What color are those eyes of yours? Now you tell me how long you've had that color. Yeah, your whole life. That's permanent. Would you agree? But look at the permanentness of a phobia. You had it from age 4 to 84. That's 80 years. You'd think that was permanent. But it was created in a second, and you can reverse it in a second. So it's not. That's what I'm saying. So that's what we're talking about. Something that's instant, something that's permanent, and it's about who you truly are. Your divinity, your divine. Don't ever forget it. Always remember it. And all of these other things are happening because you have an attachment to the personal development system of beliefs and changing a belief from a negative to a positive. It's not going to hold. It will not hold. Yes, there will be improvements. Congratulations on doing that. That's searching. I'm talking about a shift from this to a shift from this. Who we're not to who we are. And then doing a simple exercise. Takes 5 minutes, 3 times a day to hold it. And there you have it. That's it. That's who you are. That's why it's like the color of your eyes. The color of your eyes has been that way all this time, and you still have that color. Well, it's the same. Who you truly are is permanent. Who your beliefs are not, because it's not true. No matter how much you believe, the negative or the positive about those beliefs, they're false. And so, I'm here to share with you to go on a journey under 2 hours. Now I'm talking about, like I've worked with 15 different pro athletes or Olympians, okay? That's just in sports. And then mega billionaires, millionaires, and health, cancer. You know, one guy, yeah, I met him in the garbage room in Vancouver. I opened up the door and there he is. And he's so gray and he's humped over and he's like, you think he was going to die any second. I said, holy shit, man, you don't look too good. What's going on? He said, oh, I got prostate cancer. I've had it for 16 months. I've had 32 radiation treatments, and I don't know how much time I have. I said, don't listen to that bullshit. Can I ask you a few questions? Within that 15 minutes, I had asked him all these questions. And all I knew about him was his name was Al. 3 weeks later, I get a call from him, the same guy. He said, hi, Don, this is Al Valjanic. I met you in the garbage room 3 weeks ago. Yeah? Well, I don't have any cancer. Now, I could fill this room with those stories. Fill this room with those stories. And you can access this magnificent, powerful, divine energy called I am divinity. And what's natural about it, it matches who you truly are. That's the key. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting that you will know who you are, and it will override and supersede who you think you are. Now, if you're tied up with that persona that you've developed, in a second, I might add, and kept it all this time, like I just worked with a guy that when he was 9, his mom died, and he decided to harden his heart. And he hardened his heart the next 40 years. And that's what all his issues were about. We went back, cleaned that up, boom, it's gone. All the symptoms were all gone. That's how easy it is, and that's how simple this is. So if you want to continue with your hard work and all of those kind of things, and going back and paying for this again, that again, and this again, and the counseling and the therapy and coaching and all of that, go ahead, by all means. But if you want to be free, free to be you, free to be who you truly are, and those eyes, every time you look in the mirror, it will remind you how magnificent you are. And that's how this process is about, whether it's in an individual or whether it's in group. And I welcome you to join us in this journey of raising humanity's consciousness from its existing 210 to 700. That's right, you heard it right. 210 to 700. So it's an awesome journey. We're looking for 100 that are willing to go to 700 to raise humanity's consciousness. So I welcome you, and I'll see you on our journey.
Transition. Oh, there's that bullshit. Can I ask you a few questions?
So LK sent a private direct message. He said, Jamie, that story you told about scuba diving reminds me of a dream I had this morning. I got my diving certificate in 1972 when I was in Hawaii. The last dive I did was in 76 or 77. I was living in San Diego at the time. I can't recall ever dreaming about scuba diving all the years since. This morning, I had a dream I was teaching my grandson how to scuba dive. How weird is that?
That's awesome, okay? Sounds like we're all connected. Super cool. Well, I have something I want to share. So it's about 36 hours ago that I decided to go liquidarian. Now, I don't know how long I'm going for. I haven't made that decision yet, but I'm 36 hours in. I'm feeling awesome. And yeah, I wanted to share this chart with you guys. I pulled this up with Sam yesterday.
I'm thirsty.
So funny enough, remember when I forwarded it to Will?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I bet he's eating the, oh, it's the other one, the dead flesh one. But no, I can start with this. This is fine. Anyway, I sent it to him, and he's like literally mid-bite of the table, and he sends me the omnivore dead flesh. So this is something I experienced in my journey before even Don's process. And I went through these levels, you know, I was, what, 2010. Janet said she's met a breatharian before.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, 2010, I went full vegan, and then raw vegan, and then fruitarian. And I was fruitarian for 2 years straight. Like literally didn't have one cheat meal for 2 years. And I was also just getting into some fasting. The longest one I did was 30 days of just liquids. which that alone, I mean, when you've been programmed to believe in school like I was that you would die of after a week or two of no food, and I got 30 days in and I'm feeling like light as a cloud. I was like, oh, there's probably some other things I was lied to about. There's probably some other bullshit programming that I got. So that was a really big opening for me, and I was 20 years old at the time, 20 years young. And then I remember in that process, I hit the phobia of my light. Going back to that, what's the topic?
The root cause.
The root cause, yeah. So the root cause is that phobia of our light. And I remember being so high that the message that I got was, I'm so high, I'm going to die. That was the message. And just, I wasn't fully conscious of all of that at the time, or how to navigate through all of that at the time. But looking back, I can see that slowly but surely I started moving back towards this, like the cooked vegan. And then even last year I did 6 months of meat, which I got so heavy. I mean, I've never been over 200 pounds in my life, and I got over 215 pounds, I think it was. Anyway, so yeah, 36 days into Liquidarian, back on the sun gazing, since we aren't doing the stream in the middle of the night anymore, so we got some sun. And yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. Not telling anyone what to do, not saying you got to give up anything. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, and I'll keep you posted on the journey, because I'm so excited now that I've dealt with that phobia of my light, of I got so high I'm gonna die. I've overcome that with the process with Don, that now integrating this stuff that for me is in total alignment to where I'm at with the consciousness level. Right before I was like attempting to physically do the external stuff, which did raise my consciousness, but I didn't deal with all the core emotional stuff that was still anchoring me down. So
I mean, it's the same thing as like you can only hit a certain level before your nervous system brings you down. So now that you've been able to go through that process, it's going to be much more effective. And
well, it's going to be effective, not much more, because it's literally the cart before the horse. I was doing the external things to get there, but I didn't do the internal. So
yeah,
it doesn't. That's why it doesn't hold. It's no different than going to a seminar, reading a book or whatever. Nicholas says he's been doing a 3-day water fast every week for a while. He's going to join me on Liquidarian.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Attaboy, Nicholas.
Yeah, I remember doing a 10-day Kangen water fast, and same thing happened to me. I was like, dude, I'm feeling way too light, and then like I ate some food to bring myself to ground myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to minimize my light. Yeah, bring myself down back to earth.
Yeah,
back to the ego consciousness.
And like Jamie said, we're not telling you what to do. Everyone has their own journey and their own process. If you feel called to do or experience something, then you trust your own divinity. No one's.
If we bring up the pyramid, that one's cool too. Superfood pyramid.
What did he say? Sea moss, bladderwrack, burdock root works wonders for me, which contains.
That's awesome, Gilbert. Yeah, that's a good cue for this pyramid chart, because it's really about those super herbs, superfoods at the very top. Can you scroll into that a little bit? There you go.
Yeah, I didn't know that our body needed gold and silver, and isn't that kind of crazy? Those 3 items contains that.
Yeah, can you message those to us, bro? I'm gonna pick that up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's this one I used to take. It had colloidal silver and gold and colloidal platinum. It was like supercharges your nervous system like crazy.
Nice. I've been doing a lot of the spirulina, the liquid chlorophyll, top of the chart there. So these green juices are all chlorophyll. Wheatgrass, barley grass. Yeah, just like the gorillas. Right? Look how big and strong the gorillas are. They only live off grass.
Divine silverback.
Suggestion only. No force. All right, you can take it down. Scaring some people.
Yeah. Yeah, Joanna's like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to eat rice.
Oh, right, yeah.
No more Jollibee.
Can't eat my favorite foods around them.
Hey, you do you. We're not gonna force you to do anything. At the end of the day, it's like, even if you eat everything, at the end of the day, it's your process. No one's
Yeah,
no one's
100%.
telling you what to do.
And for me, because I've been at this for so long, it's like these little grains of sands of like, okay, if I can just increase it 0.01%, like that's a big jump at this level. So I'm just always looking at, or going back to that filter of, will this decision bring me closer to my light or further away? And I'm just at the place now where it's like, what I'm putting into my container, if the heavier it is, it's taken me, even if it's just a 0.01% of impact of taking me down, because obviously holding the divinity and being your divine focus, that's 99.9% of the game. But then there's all these external things that are either in alignment or not in alignment, depending what level you're at and what level you're striving for. So this is what I'm doing, and awesome to have a partner, Nicholas.
Paul says different phases in one's life affects the dietary choices.
Yeah, for me, because before I went on the vacation last week, I noticed that I was gravitating towards the heavier vegan stuff. Like I was starting to do heavier breakfasts, like, that sort of thing, like the vegan sausage and the scrambled tofu and, like that,
Yeah.
all this stuff that, but I was just gravitating to it because I was feeling like overwhelmed, So it's definitely now that I went on this crazy 7-day journey movement all over the country, it was like I'm feeling lighter than ever, and then these types of decisions are in alignment with it.
Yep.
And again, it is external, so it's a very small piece of the pie, but yeah, it's just like, what can I do to increase versus decrease? I mean, it's like, yes, we can do our divine focus and we can go head to the neighborhood pub, but like, why would we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just do our divine focus at the bar and then we'll still be in our light. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's not the best environment. It's not the best external thing you can be doing.
That's a good like metaphor, imagery, whatever.
Nicholas says, I was testing, I assume with the water fasting, I was testing with it the last 2 months, and it's been night and day on the fasting days compared to the consumption days. I notice I get more stress in the consumption days. I would get triggered out of my light when consuming. Oh, that's awesome. Isn't that awesome, Nicholas? That we're so sensitive now that even something like eating some food can affect where we're at. Like that just speaks volumes of, where you're at in your process. Eric says, I've been doing super greens in the morning and super reds for afternoon. Feel more energy and clarity. Awesome, Eric. Beautiful. Yeah. Gonna be some foodies that don't like this conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, I was there too. I mean, especially all the travel, like you want to like experience all the cuisine of all the different countries. I mean, there's been many times where I wasn't ready to let go of those things, It was just like where I'm at now. It's like, okay, this is one thing that can make a major impact of where I'm at, where I'm going.
Yeah, you're just taking care of your vehicle.
Yeah, it'd be like, it's like, are you putting in the super high octane gasoline into the Ferrari, or are you like putting mud and sludge? And yes, it may run for a while, but it's probably not the most ideal use of fuel. But how many of us, my past self included, like use food as a source of entertainment versus what it's supposed to be, which is fuel?
Yeah, been there for sure.
The old saying, eating my emotions. Been there a few times.
Janet.
Janet. Sorry, Janet. Sorry, not sorry. Gilbert, one of the last battles will be the battle of the habitual food habits. Yeah, anyone that's done a fast can tell you like the first 3-4 days are intense. Like you got all the detox symptoms, but then you get all these weird cravings. Like I remember I was vegan for a few years, and then I did this like I think it was a week, maybe 10-day water fast. And I got these random cravings of like McDonald's ice cream and like it's just these things that I hadn't had for fucking years. And it's just and I didn't know at the time. I didn't have the tools to deal with the ego at the time. But that's what it was. It was the ego like, oh, but you go get the McDonald's ice cream and the fries, they're still vegan and you know.
Gilbert says that the food ego is intention. He says that's a tapeworm, Jamie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I'm what I've been doing the last few days, Gilbert, is a parasite cleanse. So with the liquids, I've been taking these different parasite like wormwood and different cleanse herbs for the last few days because I just intuitively knew I was like there's some type of parasite thing going on, especially because I did 6 months of meat last year, and like I was gravitating towards the heavier vegan stuff this last 6 months, so I knew I was off for sure. Tiffany,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was divinely guided to do the carnivore diet, and it's been life-changing. So opposite of those slides you showed that I use to look at and judge. Now they're just another outside source. Hey, kudos to you, Tiffany, because that's exactly what I did last year. It was about September. So I'd been vegan for a minute, like 10 years at least. I think it was 12 years. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go total opposite. I'm going to go carnivore. And I was following guys like Liver King,
Yeah.
who ended
yeah.
up being a big sham. But at the time, it was like, it sounded like he was talking about I did go to the raw liver.
I did.
I almost did. I was ready. But then there was this other guy, Paul MD
Paul
or
Saladino,
something.
yeah.
What's his name?
Paul Saladino.
Saladino, yeah. So I dove into both of those two guys, and I did feel amazing for first a while. I remember telling Don, I was like, dude, like I did 30 push-ups, you know, the day before I had the meat, and then like 45 the day that I had the meat, you know. So I was like, something's working. And now looking back, I'm like, fuck, was it just like all the hormones and shit, like the steroids they put in the meat? Like that's probably what I was feeling, like a fucking drug high. Because after a few months of it, I was, like I said, I was so heavy and just like not where I've been before. You know, I've been
Yeah.
on both extremes. But
Yeah, I've been on both extremes as well. The vegan, the fruitarian, all that. And then I went to the carnivore animal-based diet where it's just eating literally only meat, raw dairy, honey, fruit. And it worked for a little bit for sure. And then I kind of shifted to a little bit more of a scientific approach where I actually was just eating according to my blood type.
I remember I'm a type O,
You're type
but
O.
that's the
The
type
best
that
one.
you're supposed to eat the meat, you know?
Yeah. So the thing is like I think this is my point of view. I think it's depending on what you're looking to do. If you're trying to be anchored more in your physical body, you can eat according to that. But if you're looking for spiritual development, then there's also that side of it. That's what I'm receiving.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the ego getting me to eat the meat because it was using things like, oh, you're going to be stronger in the gym, oh, or you're going to be able to build stronger muscle. Like it was all for me, it was ego based. Like I said, it took me out because then next thing you know, I was drinking the alcohol because it went pretty well with the steak. You know, it's like the steak and beer came in, and then I was way off my game. And we're talking just a few months ago. So and I remember so one of the cool things, so these islands that we were staying at this last week, a couple of the villas, they had these glass bottom floors. Like just imagine the whole living room, the room, everything was glass bottom floor, and there were these bungalows on the water. So you're looking down into the water with all the fish. And then I was getting a massage at the spa, and same thing, like as you're sitting in the massage, you know, with the little head, the face little chair, whatever it's called, face pillow, you're looking into the bottom glass floor, which is all these fish moving around. There's like 100 fish, and then this baby shark came in too. It was so cool. It was the only massage I've had my eyes open the entire time because it was just amazing. But the hit that I got when I was looking at these fish, because I was starting to have a little seafood because we were on the islands, and I was like, this fresh seafood, like if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. But then after the scuba diving and then looking, it hit me when I was in the massage, like all this God energy of these conscious beings. And I was looking at this like, I cannot have another piece of seafood. I don't care if it's a shrimp or a lobster, or like there's just no way that I can intend to kill this conscious being as I was looking at that. So that's another big piece for me. It's like, and that was a little hard to accept at the time because the lobsters and the king crab and the fresh shrimp, like the prawns were like this big on this island, you know, like. But I'm like, okay, and then that's what I decided. I'm doing the parasite cleanse. I'm going liquid, like, and here we are, just a few days later. But
plants are also living
yeah,
I did hear that. There's a time I'm like, oh, they communicate together and all that stuff.
For sure they are, yeah, for sure. There's levels to it, obviously. So
Yeah.
I mean, I love when people say that. It's like, well, you're killing plants too. It's like, well, I mean, I feel a little different than if I was to stab a cow to death than if I was to pick a piece of grass. And I am moving towards the breatharian so that I don't even have to hurt the plant kingdom anymore. But hey, we're all on our journeys here.
So that was definitely probably a pretty big trigger for most people. So
Hey, we're getting a lot of activity on that one.
thinking only for the retarded.
plants can see the color of our shirts, by the way. Interesting.
That's awesome.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's all spirit, right? So, I mean, I remember doing a shaman ceremony too in Mexico. And one of the things I picked up from the shaman was that like he literally couldn't even hurt a fly. Like he couldn't kill the fly because he was so connected to the spirit realm. And that's something that's definitely stuck with me. And it was something I had to really ignore and put aside when I did the 6 months of meat last year. I just like had to pretend like I didn't know what had to happen for me to eat. You know, for me, it was out of integrity.
Yeah.
You know.
Paul says plants can feel emotions. Read The Secret Life of Plants.
Yeah, I mean, it's all consciousness at the end of the day. It's all
Yeah.
spirit. I mean, there's God energy in the wind, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying like don't breathe because you're gonna hurt the wind consciousness. But there's definitely levels to it. Okay, just like there's a consciousness chart there. There's levels. There's level to what we're harming in the realm in order to sustain ourselves. But the biggest thing is that these people are living like breatharians. Like Janet met one. I've known of a few, but I haven't met one in person. It's like if that's like look at what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So anyway, we better change gears before we lose half of our returning community here.
So yeah, I think a good transition is like what you were saying, like you were on your fast and then you got so high that you get the message of
Yeah, I'm gonna
die.
Mhm.
And so that's the root cause of really all of our phobias. Our phobia to our light, which is connected to all of the other different phobias, no matter how many you have.
Yeah, and then the infinite creativity that the ego uses for excuses because it's not gonna say, hey, stop doing that because you're too in your light. It's not gonna say that. It's gonna be like, hey, Jamie, you need more protein, you know, you need to eat the meat. You know, like it's gonna make other excuses to get you off of your game, to bring you down. Or like you said, oh, I need to ground myself, so I need to eat some heavy foods, right? Like I'm using my intuition. My intuition's telling me that
It's my root
spirit
chakra.
have guided me that I need to ground myself by killing my light. It's like, nah, dude, you're just terrified of your light. You
No,
got a
it's
phobia.
my root chakra. I need more dense meat.
Yeah, Gilbert says you're losing your gains. Yeah. That's funny. You know what is interesting? We were in the gym because remember when you first got here, we were still on the meat. We were eating Jollibee, the chicken here in the Philippines. And it was about a week into that, I was like, fuck, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. And we were going to the gym at the time. And one of the main reasons I got on the meat was to get back into the gym because my argument, the ego's argument was, well, Jamie, like you've been vegan all these years, but you haven't really been consistent in the gym at the same time. So maybe you need the meat to be in the gym all the time, blah, 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 you know? And then I was in the gym like, oh yeah, I do feel stronger, you know? And then we decided to let go of the meat. And I remember I told you, it was like a weekend, I was like, dude, I have actually more energy and I'm lifting more weight. Like I'm actually like immediately stronger after
And your
not
physique
eating
changed as well.
Yeah. I started dropping all the excess toxic water weight and all that I was holding on to protect myself. So anyway.
Yep. So it's all connected to the phobia of your
Sorry, I
life.
keep going back to that. It's just it's what I'm going through right now. Janet said the breatharian only does social eating. He says there's only 100 in the world at the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 100%. It's a very small number. I mean, just like the number of people over 700 consciousness on the planet is very small too.
It's funny because it's like he does social eating, but people do like social drinking. He's like,
That was my excuse, man, and I was just like, and at the time too, I was like naturally more of an introvert, you know, like I would have to recharge every time I went out, but I became a social butterfly just so that I could be a fucking alcoholic. Like,
great reason.
I swear. Because I would call it social drinking. I just found a way to be social every day, right? Like, well, I'm doing meetings and
I need to have work-life balance.
Remember I told you when I first got into Enagic, we were selling the Kangen machines on hangover cures. So
yeah.
we would do meetings at the bar and get drunk, and then just to give them the Kangen water so they could see the next day they didn't get a hangover. That's how we sold the machines. Oh, it was bad.
Oh
It was
my
so
God.
bad. Like, this is a little bit out of integrity. Janet said,
Those Vietnamese do like to drink.
That's always.
Wait, you are Vietnamese, Janet, right? I didn't just stereotype
half
you.
at least. Vietnamese, yeah. Give them shots and then Kangen. It upgrades to Zoom drink meetings. Yeah. That is an upgrade. I never did one of those. What I did instead was I flew to the country that when the C word was happening and everything was shut down, I flew to the country where the bars were still open, which was Mexico. So I've still found a way to go to the bars during like the world pandemic, you know.
Excuses that are not irrelevant.
Well, you got to use your creativity, you know. I mean,
So you're gonna
there's
figure
always
it out.
a solution.
There's always a solution. Oh man, my jaw hurts.
I can imagine, dude. I'm sure so many people did Zoom drink meetings because I heard a lot of the virtual. Let's have a virtual coffee, right?
Yeah.
But guaranteed there were people like, let's have a virtual beer or whatever, bottle of wine.
Oh man.
Janet guilty. Oh, it's too good.
Oh man.
Back to the root of all fears. Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you. I wonder where we were for a second there. What are we doing again? What is this show? By the way, I like this new table. Very nice.
Goddess vibes.
Pet the very table. Yeah, so the phobia of our light, which is how ridiculous is it that like you're literally terrified of this intense joy and overwhelming bliss and like, it's just fucking crazy how the ego twists us into being terrified of that.
Yeah, it's crazy how it happens. But to give you, for the new people that are on this call, like, okay, how does that happen? And like, how does that navigate into like the phobia of your light? So I'll give you like my story. So when I did my first process with Dawn, the process took me to when I was 3 months of age. And I basically saw myself as a little baby, an infant, and I was literally laying on my back, and I saw my dad hit me. And so that created this really big shock to the nervous system, where from that point on, I was protecting myself. And it was not the second time, it was maybe the third time I did the process. It was like 2-3 weeks ago. I actually went even further back, where I saw my mom get scared while I was in her womb because she had a miscarriage with my brother before me. So she thought like, oh, this one's gonna die too. So the process takes you all the way back to that first initial moment. And all of, even the fear of death is actually linked to the fear of being in your light. So I know yours was kind of similar as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, the fear of death is, or the phobia is really what it is. It's just a symptom of the phobia of your light. That's the first one that gets triggered, because then everything is you're gonna die. But yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly what the process does, is it emotionally brings you back to the very first trauma. The very first, because all the traumas after that are just repeat patterns of the first initial one. And for many people, come to find out, it is in the womb, which is a little hard to intellectually wrap yourself around, but for sure it's before the age of reason, before we had our conscious mind, which is somewhere around the age of 4 to 6. So that's usually where the first one happened. But for me, it was almost identical to yours, which is my mom had a miscarriage. I was her first child, but she had a miscarriage before me. And so, and also, we weren't financially stable. Dad was a party addict. Wonder where I got that from. And he ended up killing himself with cocaine at 30 years old, from that addiction. But when mom, the moment that she knew she was pregnant, right? That's when the intense shock happened to her, right? Like this, it's gonna die, whether it's we're not financially stable or the miscarriage before. It's just, and so the message I got is, I'm gonna die. And so what do you do in that moment? You make a intuitive decision that I'm going to protect myself. And that's what the ego convinces you that it's there to do, is to protect you. So you turn off your light and you give control of your life and your life force and energy to the ego to protect you. And then come to find out, the way it protects you is by finding multiple ways of killing you and constantly keeping you out of who you truly are. So
it's crazy.
That's a little backwards.
Yeah. You're trusting the system that wants to kill you to keep you safe.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of like the seed word scamdemic, It's like, take this poison to protect you.
This is the manifestation of the ego.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get shot up with a virus to protect ourselves from a virus. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Perfect. Well, the math is mathing.
Just stick it right. Instead of having the chance of picking it up in the air, let's just inject it right directly into our bloodstream to protect ourselves from not getting the virus.
Checks out.
That would be the ego. Just an example. There's a small example. Plenty of those. Drinking is a prime example too. It's literally convincing you that you're protecting yourself from the painful emotions that are there by drinking, right? That's like the medicine of medicine to not deal with those painful emotions. So it's protecting you from your pain by poisoning yourself with alcohol. Wow, what a
Destroying
concept.
your liver.
What a concept. Oh, that my stress went away.
No, it's the resveratrol. Wine is good for you. Antioxidants.
Yes, it's the antioxidants. Janet
Uh,
said I had a rule to one drink when I was happy. I
Oh,
was happy every single day. Yeah, exactly. I found a way to be happy. I found a way to meet my requirements.
look at that. Yeah, I remember I was with this girl and we would drink, like I never drank, but then like she drank 2 to 3 bottles of wine every night. And I was right there with her.
Champion.
It's like
And you justify it with so many ways. And the reason I use that is because it's just a prime example of what the ego does to justify you to not be in your light. That's what it's doing. Right. So whatever that, oh, we got to celebrate, or we got to be social, It's okay. Yeah. So or Janet's, if I'm happy, then I'll drink. Right. So it's like, okay, so if I'm happy, then I'll poison myself. Yeah. If I've done really well and I'm healthy, then I'll poison myself. If I did something, accomplished something, I need to poison myself to celebrate. Like, it's just what? But I mean, no judgment. I was probably a bigger alcoholic than anyone on this call.
yeah.
Wouldn't have called myself that though. I was just a fun guy.
No, it was just
A very social,
Occasional.
fun guy.
or it's like the weed too. It's like,
Oh,
I'm using it for focus by destroying my life.
Plant. It's vegan, bro.
It's vegan, bro. It's
vegan.
natural. It comes from the earth.
Come on, it's spirit. It connects you with spirit guides. Okay? Come on, it's healthy.
Smoking the marijuana while listening to Esther Hicks.
Yeah, I totally did on repeat. Literally. Be
Ooh.
sun gazing, smoking weed, listening to Abraham Hicks.
It helps me
So
make my breath
spiritual.
work better.
Yes.
At sun gazing.
What's that? I heard
And sun
gazing.
gazing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to throw sun gazing in the same as the weed, because the sun gazing is
Actually helpful.
actually healthy.
I actually reversed my I was super
And there's
blind.
nothing wrong with listening to Abraham Hicks either. It's
No,
just
no,
like
no.
when you're picking it up intellectually while you're stoned. I mean, it's not a spiritual program.
No.
How do you argue that though? Because so many people that I
Oh,
know, can
Janet,
you hear me?
hold on, Janet. We got to turn the volume up. Please and thank you, Will.
How do you, can you
Okay,
hear
you
me
go,
now?
girl.
How do you
Yeah.
guys argue that? Because I have so many friends who still smoke weed or they do those ceremonies and it helps them, get to that state. So, or they say, because it's like all the spiritual people, it's like all about putting your intentions in the weed. And as long as you put the good intentions, then it's okay. And as I'm saying, but like, how do I tell them?
Well, first of all, invite them to the stream because we're only going to say the truth here. But yeah, you just tell them the truth. It's not how. It's just the truth is the truth, no matter how you deliver it, and it depends where they're at. Because if they're not ready to, they're going to call blasphemy on whatever you say if they're not ready. But if they've been searching for a way to let go of the weed, and they're in that place, then they're looking for a solution. No matter what you say, they'll be open to it.
Yeah. Well, the thing about weed is like, so the reason why you get high is because it does have a certain level of consciousness, right? So like if you're vibrating at a 125 or 175 and you smoke some weed, it'll bring you up to a 350. But once that high comes
For an
down,
hour.
yeah, for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. If you're smoking dabs, maybe a little bit longer. You take an edible, right? But then after you come down, guess what? You're back to your normal baseline. So that's why I have to keep smoking it because it brings you up. But once you're at, like, for example, I remember when I was doing my divine focus in Thailand, I took some mushrooms and it brought me down. Right, and mushrooms are like the spiritual enlightenment and stuff like that. No, it has a consciousness level as well.
Right.
Yeah, and then going to the alcohol too. So let's just say, for example, I was around 125 without the alcohol. Well, the alcohol is around a 200, right? The level of courage. And that's why they call it liquid courage. And 200 is also the level of truth. And how many people have those honest when they're drunk, right? Now they're finally honest. So there is a uplifting component to it, and that's why people are so drawn to it. But like Sam's saying, is like if 200 is where you want to be, then just drink alcohol every day, you know, and you'll be there. But yeah, once you go past that, it's like now these things are bringing me down, right? If you're at 700 or whatever, 400, and you're drinking alcohol, now you're going down to 200. It's a big difference.
Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, just hit him with the truth, Janet. They're either going to love you or they're going to hate you. Sorry to say, but I haven't found a way to have every single one love me.
Yeah, I mean, I had like one of my mentees, like he actually did the process with Don, and then he had such an amazing experience, and then he let go of his light. And then like he's been in like the cannabis world for so long, like after he ended up owning like 4 or 5 cannabis dispensaries and corporations, and I told him like one day, like, hey, like cannabis brings you down in consciousness, and he attacked me. He absolutely attacked me. And so people have to be ready for that conversation. You're not gonna get them out of that program until they're ready.
Well, and then the best way to do it, the best way that we found is just start with your example. You know, so if you don't have an example with weed, Janet, then you can use your alcohol example, and then they can make maybe that connection of like, okay, yeah, you know, so you talk about your experience and journey with the alcohol, and how once you raised your conscious level, you realize now the alcohol was bringing you down versus before it was bringing you up because it's at 200. Like just share your genuine story, and then they're either going to be like, wow, that's possible, how did you do it? Or yeah, whatever, that's a bunch of bullshit, and go back and smoke their joint. You know? But that's the most disarming way to do it, because now you're not going after them personally. You're just sharing your example, right, for yourself, and they'll either gain from that or they won't want to talk about it more.
Yeah.
She's frozen, I think. Yeah, that's the most disarming way. And I've seen it in Don's process, the difference between him working with someone one-on-one if they're not fully open, compared to if they're not fully open and they're in a group, because now Don's able to use someone in the group and go after that person that is open, and the guy that isn't so open is disarmed. His ego, the ego's disarmed, because he's picking it all up through the other person's example. Because if Don went to him straight on, the ego would be so challenging and fighting with them. So yeah, just using yourself and other people as example instead of going directly at them.
I mean, stories are the best way to, you know, like, I mean, I remember you just like, hey, this is what happened for me, like whenever the whole girl thing, and you're like, yeah, all of these, you know, all these examples and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're disarmed in that because you're just listening to the story, and then your response was like, oh, I want to learn from your experience, you know, instead of going through all that myself. So for me now, that's an opening to now tell him the truth of what's going on for him.
Yep.
You know, compared to like, oh, that's cool, bro, but whatever.
Yeah.
Big difference. So yeah, share your story, and then just see if there's interest that's created or if they're trying to avoid that conversation, and then you'll know.
Yeah, I guess I always ask everyone, I'm like, if you could get the same feeling and experience or better than drinking booze, would you still drink it? And most people will say no, and they still can't let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, okay.
Well,
I'll
that's a
share
great
my
question. Yeah, it's a great question. And like Paul said, just be the example, right? So just you continuing to inspire them in the way that you are with, you know, not drinking and, you know, your whole journey. That is truly the best way.
Yeah. I mean, also just like, and we'll be doing a training talking about how to like utilize your story online and just drawing all the right people to you. Like I had one of my guys, one of my buddies, Sean, he was one of the first people to like get me into like network marketing and stuff. And I just shared about like, you know, how I was basically able to get rid of my addictions and stuff like that. And he messaged me and he's like, dude, like yo, like, is this true? Like, can you really get rid of all your addictions instantly? And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what happened for me. And then he's like, now he's super open to it. I mean, he signed up. I don't know if he's gone through the process yet, but you know, people will be drawn to you when you're able to share, whether it's your story or whether it's other people's stories. Because maybe it's, you can use, like, for example, like I'll use Gilbert's story sometimes, you know, and or Tiffany's story or whoever's story. And you know, we'll have them in like the video content, the video format, so you can share those. Because maybe someone will relate with one of the other stories as well.
Yeah, and I also I sense it's a lot less about, like, I find people get wrapped up in the what to say, and it's really not about what to say. I remember going all the way back to my very first sales gig. It was newspaper subscriptions. Okay, and I literally like tripled the record. I sold 318 of them in a week. Okay, so I would go to this conference in Vegas, and there's people from all over North America. This company was a big company. And they're all coming up to me like, hey, bro, like, what's your pitch? What's your pitch? I'm like, it was hard for me to answer because I'm like, actually, like, I don't really have a pitch. Like, every conversation's a little different because I'm just in the moment having a conversation. Like, I'm just treating them like I was talking to a friend versus this like robotic script that I was telling them at the door, you know, to do the sale. So that was the difference. And it's the same thing with what we're doing. It's like, it's just a genuine share. It's not, what do I say to them? It's just sharing it. And then also knowing, like, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. So it's very little to do with what you say. Because if they're ready and open, doesn't matter what you say, as long as you're engaging in a conversation with them, they're going to tell you and they're going to express that interest and openness. And if they're not, I mean, there's nothing you could say to, and believe me, I've tried, you know, with all the sales skills and the, you know, like
Fear of loss.
yeah, and all the convincing and all, like, I've tried with my own family, especially, you know, like I pulled out all the tools, all the effort there. And it's like, they're not budging one bit, just because that's where they're at. And no matter what I said, no matter what I did, not going to turn them around. Like, they have to make their own decision. That's the beautiful part about free will. So yeah, just less about what you say to them. It's just, you're really just sifting and sorting for who's open, you know. It's like casting a net, you know, and the fish that are open and ready go into the net, and then it doesn't matter what you say to them, like, they're in the net. But compared to the ones that just, yeah, they're not going to engage no matter what you say, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Gilbert says, yeah, their resistance is exhausting and futile. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, and whenever you're holding your divinity, I mean, people just are gravitating towards you. Like,
or run away.
Yeah, either way.
It's a great filter.
Yeah. It's great for finding the right people, for sure.
Yeah, so just be you and share what's going on for you. That's the only, you know, like, we come on these streams and we share the most ridiculous stuff, but what's actually happening for us. We're not thinking like, oh, what should we say to them to create interest? And nothing. Like, if we did that, it would be a completely different experience here. A man convinced against his own will be of the same opinion still. Yes, exactly.
I love that.
That's a good one. So yeah, just be yourself, share your genuine experience, what's going on, and they'll either say, I'm all about it, or nice knowing you.
Yeah, I guess because I had Dagmar on, she was my first spiritual teacher, and then, you know, she loves to smoke and she loves to smoke weed. So I think, I don't know, I haven't talked to her lately and she hasn't been on, so yeah.
Right. And there's nothing you can check in for sure, like, hey, just notice you haven't been on the streams, what's going on for you. That just shows that you care, you know. But other than that, there's no like convincing involved.
Sure.
Get the fuck on the screen. I know you have a weed addiction.
I mean, yeah, there was nothing anyone would have said to me for me to stop smoking weed until I was ready to stop.
100%. I've tried on my younger brother. He's been daily smoker since he was 16. Yeah. No, that's the choice that they make.
Yeah.
We're just making the invitations, like we don't reach out to any one of you individually to come on these streams. We just show up, we do our thing. You guys decide to come on, right? Like we're not convincing anyone to come on here. So anyway, but yeah, for someone like that, Jana is just, checking in to show that you care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So it's 11:40. Does anyone have any shares or updates that they want to, just share with everyone?
Yes, I've been gone a week. It feels like a year, so I'd love to hear where you guys are at.
Can I ask a question for Amy?
Yes.
Okay, because she'll probably watch the replay. She's in Taiwan, so her time's off. So Amy was having a great high, as you've been hearing her stories, Sam. And then I guess recently she's like, my Facebook got shut down, it got hacked, my ad got shut down, my buyer who originally sent the forms then didn't send the forms. So then everything went downhill, even though she had like eight spirits visit her and she was shaking and she was crying at one point doing the divinity. So she's like, it feels like everything's going to shits right now, even though she had a high with divinity. So I'm not sure how to answer that, but maybe you can answer. Well, yeah, I kind of knew how to answer that, but I want to see what you guys have to say for her, and I'll get her to watch the replay.
Well, it's a moment to moment thing, right? Like you can be at one level one moment and then the next moment give it all up.
Well, yeah, that's true. And also coming up against what we've been talking about is that phobia of the light. So no matter how intense sometimes the more intense that experience is, the more that immediate like phobic response of, I got to get down from this. Like this is so high, I'm going to die. So there could be something like that going on. But then the other side of things too is that when you're going through this beginning stage of your process of jumping hundreds of points in the consciousness, the ego is like grasping at everything it can to use against you to gain back control, right? And so those don't go away. Like I can speak on my experience of getting death threats the last month, it's like, but it's just how am I handling it? And that was, for me, it was like the one last thing that, okay, if I overcome death threats and like have zero fear, zero response to that, like now what else can the ego use? But it's just, it's going to use those, whatever it can, whatever it knows the person's weaknesses, so and that's the training ground. That's the process of, going from the jello to the wood to the bulletproof steel, because you're just going to get all these tests, and until those tests don't trigger you anymore, that's when you've made it through completely.
This is great. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Jen.
Paul, I remember the phrase "too much of a good thing."
Yeah, well, that's not a high consciousness phrase.
No.
Paul. It reminds me of the "too good to be true."
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's so good that it's true. Exactly. Yes. Oh, well, that was fun.
Yeah,
I'm ready for a buco coconut.
All right, awesome, guys. So it's been.
Let's open up again for them to share.
Yeah.
If anyone have an update you want to share before we close your up?
I don't mind sharing. I always typically have something to share, but if anybody else, okay. So last night was an interesting dream. Cool. Hold on. Okay, well, I gotta do the heads up because I was about to jump in the shower soon. So, so last night I had a really cool dream. It started off badass. I was like at I guess like a checkpoint area or like some kind of place, but I literally had a dream of me getting my passport in my hand. So, and a lot of the things that I've been seeing in my dreams have been manifesting either with a day or two lately. So I'm hoping to get some news from that tomorrow. After that, I had another dream. It's crazy is because I was with Jackie Chan, and it was like us being like little Trojan horses going into like the lair of the bad guys. Yo, dude, it was badass. So we're sneaking in, trying to help some damsel in distress. And so we finally found her, but she was like already like I guess brainwashed or working with them. So she like baited us, bro. So she pretty much sounded the alarm, had like all the bad guys come after us, and so they had us in a room. The crazy thing is that there was a guy that came up to me, grabbed my left hand, and everything we were talking about today, and literally had a knife pointing at my stomach, like giving me another indicator. Hey, just be mindful of what you're going to be eating. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of interesting because it didn't happen. It happened twice throughout that dream. But after he was like really close to stabbing, I wasn't afraid at all. And then Jackie Chan just came in and kicked the shit out of his hand. It was so badass. We took down like 120 bad guys. I kid you not. We left them all mangled up, and we were on our way or on our way out, and we see this huge TV, and we're like, yeah, we got some time. We're so ballsy. We just went, jumped on, had like a PlayStation 5 or something, and we threw on like Mortal Kombat, and then he was. So we're battling each other out. I was like, I don't remember the game ever having those features because he would do a reversal, I would do a reversal. It was like the universe was telling me like you can't damage him and they can't damage you. And then also I got off of it. All the bad guys were starting to get up from their like ass whooping, and then they decided to not even try to fight us. They realized that they couldn't, and they just joined us. So you know, like that, if you can't beat them, join them kind of mentality kicked in. Here's the crazy part. So I was born in 1988, and it's the Chinese zodiac of the dragon. And I looked up Jackie Chan's actual meaning of his name, and it means the rising of the dragon. I kid you not, bro. That's crazy. All right. And then after that, today I had a bunch of phone calls coming in, people coming in randomly to visit me, like at least 5 different types of people. So I think the energy is starting to pull people in towards me, like, and it would be around the time when I'm doing divinity. So the egos were starting to come in, and I went for a walk as well too, and it was pretty cool because a bunch of kids were just waving at me, and I was like literally like 200 feet away from them, like no, we're close, and they were just like so excited beyond belief. I'm just like, I even turned back. I'm like, who you? Oh, okay, man. I just didn't want to leave them hanging. But it's cool to see that doesn't matter where you go, like they'll notice the light wherever you go. So I just wanted to share that. Thought that was pretty cool. But that Jackie Chan thing also represented he's never ever played a bad role, like a bad guy in any of his roles. So it was a representation of good. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit of that. Like I keep getting guided every night, and it's getting real cool. Thank you all for letting me share.
Thanks for sharing.
Man, you gotta invite us to your dreams. You've been having the fucking coolest dreams, dude.
Get on my level, son.
Sorry about it, I've been slacking.
So yesterday I had a dream, which is funny because I shared this with Jamie just a little bit ago. I was driving an F8 Ferrari, just doing donuts, and it was all consciousness controlled. So I wasn't like my hands were on the wheel. I was just like with my mind. So it was interesting. And then he told me that he actually had the F8 at the racetrack.
Yeah, when we went to Dubai, Don and I rented a Lamborghini. It was the first time we've been like drove in Dubai, and we went from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. It's like a hour and a half, 2-hour drive maybe. And come to find out the next day when we returned the Lambo that we had between the two of us like 22 speeding tickets. Yeah, we had no idea. We had no idea because they're all automated there. Like you're not getting pulled over. It's just like every like 400 meters or something. It's like an automated camera to pick up your speeding, right? It's like, oh, that crushed us pretty good. So lesson learned. So then the next time we came in, I was with my brother and we went and got a Ferrari for the day. And then I told my bro, I said, man, you gotta like look up where there's no cameras because I ain't doing what we did last time. And so he looked it up and he found there was a like an auto track in Dubai, the auto drone. Like, oh, perfect, let's go there. So we're just making this intuitive decision. We're on the highway. Okay, we're going to the track. So we go to the racetrack. We pull up. And we try to get in, and the guy's like, "Oh, you just got to register in the front desk." Okay, we go to the front desk, register, do a little safety meeting. It ended up being drag race night, so you had like anyone that could come register, and you dragged each other in a 400-meter race, and then you had to go slow around the corners, and it was a rolling start, so you couldn't peel any tires or whatever. So okay, cool. So we go and we do a couple laps on this drag, and of course we're in this brand new F8 Spider like Ferrari top of the line, and we're going against these like Infinitis and Nissan GTRs, and we're just like by half the track schooling them. And it was the coolest thing. I'd never been in that type of experience. My bro was loving it. He's a car guy, mechanic. And anyway, we pull over and they say we're gonna take a little break, change the medical, I think it was ambulance or something. And I look at my phone. And the rental company is like blowing me up. The guy's like, because they get notifications when you go a certain speed, and I was going like 220, 250, like kilometers, but like ripping it as fast as it could go. And he's getting these notifications, so he's sending me, "Hey, slow down, you're gonna get tickets and whatever." I said, "No, don't worry, bro. Like, we're not getting any tickets because we're at the track." What? You brought the car to the track. Pull over right now. I'm coming. I'm on my way. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't realize, like, didn't think to ask for permission. So I'm like, sorry, dude. Like, we'll pull over, and we waited for the manager guy to show up, and he's all like chain smoking, just like in total anxieties. Like, I gotta check the tires. I'm like, no, don't worry, dude. Like you could ask the track. They don't even let you peel it. It's a rolling start. And he goes to the tires. He's like, oh yeah, that's all four need to be replaced. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't even rip the tires at all. He's like, oh yeah. And then I made the mistake of giving. I mean, I wasn't planning any of this, so I gave him my passport for a deposit. And apparently that's not like legal for them to take your passport, but because I voluntarily did it, the police actually showed up to deal with this, and the police were like on my side, but they were like, yeah, like he's just trying to get money out of you, but we can't do anything about your passport. It's a civil matter. You would have to go to court, and now you're like 3-4 months down the line to get your passport back. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. We're flying out next week, So I ended up had to like work out how much I'm going to pay for all four of these brand new tires. It was ridiculous, but it was a fun night. So we had 2 hours, like we just got it. We had it for 2 hours. He took it back, kept the deposit, and I paid him for some tires. And okay, lesson learned. Oh, so then the next time, Don's birthday was coming up, like just a few weeks after that. And we found out at the track, they actually had their own Ferraris and even Formula One cars. And it was less like the experience to pay them to go around with a driver. Like it had a race driver as a passenger. It was less than even renting the Ferrari on its own for the day. So I was like, well, that's the no-brainer thing to do then. You go straight to the track and do that experience. So for Don's birthday, I gifted him with that he was going around in the Ferrari with the race driver, and he had it all filmed in the cabin and everything. It was really cool. But so if you go to Dubai and you want to experience a supercar, go to the auto drone, because there's no point in having a fast car with all those speeding cameras. And it's like, what the heck?
Well, we'll learn from your experience.
Yeah.
So Donna has a share.
Awesome.
Okay, I've been dealing with this issue of constipation, and I was beyond myself. So I went and I bought some Dukalax or whatever it's called at the drugstore. And I don't take stuff like that. Well, the second time I took it, I was just having, after I had dinner, I went and I took it. I started developing like a rash around my mouth. And I thought, oh hell, I'm gonna have an anaphylactic shock. I'm gonna die. And I said, Paul, please take me to the hospital. I can't breathe. I'm dying, right? And he says, no, go and sit down and connect with your divinity. And I was like, oh, like the rash, the bump, my throat, the side of my, oh, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna die. I'm dead. And so I sat there and I just started connecting with my I am, and it was an amazing experience. This very tall spiritual, this being was glowing. It was yellow, light, tall, with robes. He came up to me and he was holding a limp body, and he showed me this limp body. And then he showed me a pair of shoes, and beautiful, like Wizard of Oz, those shoes with the sparkly kind of colors in them and everything. And then that dead body turned into a child, and he was showing me that I need to be a child and I need to put these shoes on because these are my real shoes. And from that, it was like all that fear went away, and I realized who I really, really was. It was this very magical being, and it was the most amazing experience I ever had. I went from totally, I'm going to be dead because I took a Dukalax, and I had this little rash developing, into this just being able to focus myself right down and have the most beautiful experience ever. And then Paul wanted me to share this, and I was like, I don't know, but
Well, one thing I'll add, because the physical symptom was there. There was a bit of a swelling on her lip, and so I said at the time, I said, I could just see you now. You're going to run out the door. Now you got to know where we are. We're way at one end of the island here in Greece, and you'd have to go through this really winding road with not much light, and the hospital would be about 3 kilometers away if you got there. And so I had this vision that here she goes, she's going to run out the door because I'm not driving her. There's no way I'm going to drive you to the hospital. Anyway, so anyway, she didn't. So I said, you better go sit down and, do the divine focus, because that's going to take you out of this situation. But the lip, literally, after the end of her session that she had on her own there, and I was just sitting here very quiet, but at the end of it, I took a look at her face, and that swelling completely gone, not a trace, nothing. And it was right there. And I said, Donna, like, it's a miracle, really. I mean, look at that. You created it, and then you dealt with it, and it was like that was the best thing in the world. So anyway,
there you go.
I'll add that to her story.
Superwoman.
Way to go, Donna. That's awesome. By the way, that wasn't medical device. Here at I Am Divinity, we are not doctors. We do not divine focus.
By the way, you could
amazing.
buy your bottle at any local divine focus pharmacy.
Exactly. Free shipping. Way to go, you two. That's absolutely amazing. What a great experience. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Dukalax plus divine focus equals conscious level 1200.
That's funny.
Yes. Talk to your doctor before you take any medication during your divine focus. Wow.
Oh my God.
Amazing
was
how we create these.
awesome.
That was awesome, yeah. Amazing how we create these physical symptoms. And two, what popped up for me too is it can, going back to the ego tests and trials, right? It could be the ego creating those symptoms as well to get you out of your light, right? And what easier way to get you out of your light than these physical symptoms happening, like, holy shit, something's going wrong. So you did exactly the best thing that we can do, which is just tune in that divine focus, and boom, all goes away, even the physical. That's a great testimony. Tiffany said, last night I was sick with a sore throat and ear pain and did something last night and it instantly went away and I didn't wake up with it today. Bravo, Tiffany. Yes. Awesome.
Good job, Tiffany. Yeah, especially at this level of consciousness, like whenever you're choosing certain things, like literally the symptoms are almost instantaneous. It doesn't take a while to develop, and it doesn't take a while to reverse either.
Yeah. It's a mirror to show you what's going on so that you can look at it internally. Right, because those physical symptoms are a great barometer of what's happening, going on. And instead of, just tuning into the feeling of it, you're actually seeing it. It's like, okay, yeah, something's going on. I'm off. I can see that. It's like it's showing you proof, which is awesome, especially when we have the tools to reverse it.
All right, awesome. Well, it's
a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap. It's 12:01 over here. I think it's 11:01 Eastern. So
onboarding? Anyone need help with onboarding?
yeah, does anyone need any help with onboarding, whether it's a crypto fund, Forex fund, Divinity, any of that? Paul says yes.
Crypto fund's going insane right now, by the way.
Yeah, so if you need help, there's the link. Are you gonna start right now, Will?
Yeah.
Right as soon as it renders.
We'll do the-
Huh?
Kim.
Kim. Okay, so Kim will help you out tonight for you guys.
So onboarding call he's ready now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think does it have to render for him or no? Or he can hop right in?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So if you need help, Kim will help you on board. And yeah, we're just waiting on that last piece as far as the partner program goes, literally just waiting on the KYB. So we'll keep you posted, hopefully the next day or two. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Philippines time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Infinite Love.
Is it 9?
9 p.m. Eastern.
That's when we start?
That's for them.
Oh yeah, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, oh, you're not taking my days away again, are you? I missed that memo. All right, awesome.
All right, guys. Infinite love from us to
Can
you.
we do the intro, outro thing?
Oh, wait up. We're gonna play the outro just one more time. So
Cool. Rough draft, but first draft.
oh, is it an outro?
What? Well,
Outro
no,
or an intro?
it's the same, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. We should make an outro.
Great to have you with us, Tiffany. Awesome that you're so committed.
Infinite love, guys.
Welcome to IAMDIVINITY.
Here at IAMDIVINITY, what we do is we help you unlock your in power.
So that's what we're doing.
When I come here to the course, you have good, great job, primarily from my childhood.
That's the power. Imagine how healthy our community